Alright everyone, welcome back once again. We're going to be doing another replay analysis today. Going to be going over the early game to the mid game transition for a safe lane hero. And this replay we're going to be going over a Bloodseeker performance that I had not too recently, less than a week ago. My name is Draskyl. Going to be bringing you all the analysis today so far. And the lesson that we're pretty much going to be covering the entire time has to do with decision making, how I'm itemizing, where I'm moving around the map. It's going to be a combination of things. So the gist of it is I want to impart how I like to play the mid game to you guys so that if you're like an intermediate player or a beginner player, you can use some of the thought process that I use when I'm in my games. So this is about 6 minutes in. I'm actually playing Bloodseeker, but I have the first person perspective on the camera, so that's why I was looking at the bottom lane. You notice that I'm very close to level 6. And just for some context, we'll actually go ahead and pause it here for a second. But just for some context, my lane was against a Pudge and a Centaur. I actually believe I did die once in this lane. Yep, I'm 0-1 right now. I got hooked into the tower by the Pudge. He was fogged. I wasn't paying attention. He hooked me. I died. So I haven't had an amazing laning phase. And my other lanes, as you can see by the last hits on the left side of the screen, are losing pretty badly. So 2 lanes losing. I'm a Bloodseeker. I realize that at this stage in the game, I have a Terrorblade, and I'm probably going to want to try to make some rotation as soon as I get my ult. And this is a good habit to get into for any safe lane hero that has some kind of game-changing level 6 ultimate. Another really good example is like a Juggernaut. Even though he's not super common in the meta, and all in all not a great hero, anytime you hit that power spike with your level 6, safe lane hero, you can rotate. Just make sure you know what lane you're going to, and assess which lanes you can kill. Like, I'm not TPing mid specifically because I care more about the Terrorblade dying than I care about the Pugna dying, even though both of them could potentially result in a kill. So I believe we finish off this wave. I would hit 6 here, but my CM was soaking some EXP. So I'm essentially one creep away, but I realized that, hey, I got 2 heroes down here. They're both in position. So as long as I get 1 kill first, I'll be able to get that Rupture anyway. I wait for the Inkwell, or Ink Swell, whichever one it is on Grimstroke, to wear off so I don't get stunned. As soon as I hit 6, I skill my ulti, and we go for the easy kill here. They rotate quite a few heroes, the Centaur TPs, the Pugna TPs. I'm not really looking to get into too much of an engagement right now, just trying to back out. My mid player is also TPing for this. It's pretty chaotic. This was a game that I chose specifically because there's so many things happening in this game, and there's a lot of fighting. So I'm just going to try to explain little by little. You can see I kind of sat around the outside of the fight there for a while, and the lower the Centaur gets, obviously the more benefit I'm gaining from my thirst. So rather than going back to heal or something like that, I bide my time. I'm going to use my my Blood Rage to heal off the creeps and stuff to make sure I'm at full HP. So that way if another engagement does happen, I'll be ready for it. But just by sticking around on a hero like Bloodseeker, when other heroes are getting low because we have a Zeus, I'm just able to get another kill. Very, very easy. So I got 1,400 gold saved up right now. I believe I just go straight for the Aquila. Yep. This is still, even after the damage nerf, they just recently took away 3 damage from it, so now instead of 10, it's 7. Still one of the most stat-efficient items in the game. It's 985 gold, I believe. And for an agility hero especially, it just gives you so much. Super, super value item. So I pick it up. I'm making my way back to top lane. You'll notice that I did not TP to this tower. I am holding my teleport scroll this entire time, and I keep looking at the bottom lane to see if me teleporting is going to result in a kill. And I'm still waiting. I'm still looking. I notice that the Terrorblade is top. This is the guy that I care about the most. This is the guy that I want to stop. So as soon as this guy pops up to my lane, and I let my CM know that he actually had Sunder there, but we're going to force him to TP back to base. That's still a little win. Obviously, killing him would have been nice. But in all honesty, if you're a Terrorblade and you get forced to TP back to base, and then you cannot TP out to farm again, it might hurt your farming more than it would have to just die. Because the time it takes you to walk back to the lane might just be worse. So I have my TP now because I held it for so long. Gonna eat a stun here. My Zeus is gonna ult to get the heroes even lower. They're going to pop the Centaur ulti to try to get him out. I think this guy actually gets it an eye because I didn't do enough damage on my hit. I'm kind of sitting around here. He pops his stun, but I heard a TP, so I didn't want to dive. As soon as I hear the TP animation finish, probably should have thrown a scan there, to be honest, in the woods below the tower, just to be ultra safe. But as soon as I heard the TP, I decided that I did not want to dive anymore. Because even though the Centaur used his stun, and I know he can't disable me, I know that another hero is present, and that kind of makes me not want to do it. So we don't go in. Again, using the Blood Rage to heal off the creeps, never going back to base. This is one of the benefits of being a Bloodseeker. Some heroes are not going to have this luxury. You're going to have to either use the Shrine, you're going to have to ferry out a Sev. There's a ton of things you can do to help supplement your regen. But for Bloodseeker, he doesn't really have to worry about it too much. Making sure we stock up on TPs. I like to buy 2 at a time. Sometimes in a game, you'll TP to a tower after only having 1 teleport scroll in your inventory. And then a minute or so goes by, and you realize that you might need a TP soon for something else. And then you have to spend time walking to the shop to buy a second one. And that can be the difference between someone dying or, you know, you being there in time to be able to have some sort of influence in that fight. So we notice there's some shenanigans going on in the mid lane. We're going to force out a glyph here. I've just auto-attacked the wave down. I got a cart. I should honestly be protecting this cart. I should honestly just walk and take the tower hits. That was a misplay by me. I should not let that cart die. I knew that there was no one down there because they're showing 3 people mid. I definitely should have kept that one alive. But it's okay. I believe I still end up getting the tower. It's a mistake, but it's not one that's going to cost us in the grand scheme of things. We're still going to eventually get to tier 1. I believe we also have time to TP to top. Oh, no, looks like we don't. Metamorphosis does lots of damage. So we take a trade there. It's 2 for 1. Not the best trade. Ideally, we would have wanted to fight, but I believe we already had heroes dead by that point. Again, perhaps in hindsight, TPing to the mid tower to try to defend with Bloodright and a Rupture could have been something that we could do. It's just during games like this, I'm a little bit scared to TP in when I don't have BKB on a hero who is very susceptible to magic burst damage. We'll pause really quick because I want to cover something. This is something that I like to think about a lot when I'm in a game and I'm basically the only hero that goes in. If you look at our team, we have Nyx, Tree, Crystal Maiden, and Zeus. So I'm the only hero on my team that really runs into auto attack to deal damage. When you're in that situation, it's very difficult for you to live through fights when it's a team fight. So if it's 4v4 or it's 5v5, there's a lot of spells that are going to be thrown out. More often than not, because you're the person in front, you're going to be taking a lot of spells. So there's a Pugna, there's a Centaur with Stampede, there's Pudge, there's a Grimstroke, lots of Magic Burst, very, very scary. And at this point, I felt like if I were to TP somewhere, the chances of us taking a fight and me being able to live through it are pretty low. So I have 2 goals this game. My first goal is to get some sort of accelerating item, which in this game, I end up buying a Radiance, I believe. And then after that, I need a BKB just flat out. Now you could argue Blade Mail into BKB would be maybe a more optimal choice, and I would have a tendency to agree with that. But this is a pub game, so I'm kind of just going with kind of what I want to build as opposed to what I think is the absolute best. If I played this game again and I was playing completely serious, I would buy a Blade Mail into BKB 10 times out of 10. This game, I do not buy a Blade Mail. So just as a little bit of a heads up, if you are that position where you're the only guy who really goes in, and there's a lot of magical burst and disable, probably going to want a BKB. That's especially true when you're the safe lane hero. If you're a position 1, which essentially just means you have the highest farm priority, one of the worst feelings is going to a lot of fights and trying to help your team, but never being able to live through the fight. You always get a couple of kills, but maybe you die in the beginning because they use all their spells on you, and then you end up becoming underfarmed and underleveled, and the game just doesn't feel very nice for you anymore because you've gotten all those deaths under your belt. So what I like to do is I try to time my fighting with my itemization, and since I know that I'm going for a greedy choice, I'm trying to avoid fighting. I like to pressure side lanes, I like to farm probably a bit more than I should, all things considered. But we pressure the tower here, we notice some people are going to TP top. They kind of waste their Stampede here. I completely whiffed my blood rate. That was a very poorly placed one. I believe this game was streamed too, so as soon as I did that, I was kind of just like, wow, that was a bad blood rate. So we walk it off. We're not going to look at it. When you see that many heroes in one area, you typically do not want to try to engage when you only have a Crystal Maiden and a Bloodseeker. Fortunately, our Treant has been good about warding, so we had vision. And again, I'm really just looking to try to farm. Our Treant opens up on the Terrorblade. We don't know if TPs are all up right now, but we do know Stampede is down. Our CM as of going down there. Not sure if landing the blood rate would have really mattered. We also don't have a tier 1. In this situation, I basically just don't want to be anywhere near top. There's too many heroes. I'm not really looking to take a fight right now anyway. Enemy team is kind of just running at us. I get the Rupture off because my tree's behind them, and I quickly realize that we can maybe get a quick kill here. Lots of burst damage coming out between the Zeus and the pure damage of the blood rate. So I go for my 1 kill, and you notice that I actually TP away from this. And I TP away mainly because I want to try to pressure somewhere else on the map. And more importantly, I want to play around where I know I have vision. And we have 2 wards placed in the bottom lane that are able to see quite far. Pick up our relic, now that we got the money. Gonna keep pushing out the lane. Now they had a lane ward there, so they saw me TP. Or at the very least, they saw me walk past, so do a little bit of deductive reasoning or something like that, and you'll figure out that I probably TP'd because I could not have ran there that fast. I kill that wave. My team is in the area. I should go next wave, but I'm playing it super safe. Again, I'm really trying to not die before I get my Radiance. We scout out a couple of heroes. They've pretty much all ran into their jungle. Now, these types of situations, your support player dies, and if it's not really good for them that they've died, but the fact of the matter is they gave me information. I know where they are now. I know what I can do. I know where I can farm. So even though the CM dies, he scouted out 3 heroes. We know top is safe. I can make my way over here to the nice little triple camp and continue to farm towards my item. We'll go ahead and swap it over to the net worth. So you can see, even though my laning phase was not particularly good, I've had some nice movement around the map. I got a couple of kills. I muted everyone, by the way, because of the chat wheel spamming. It got pretty obnoxious in the last couple of videos, so I just didn't want to hear it anymore. Just had to get rid of it. And now we're getting real close to Radiance. We're about 600 away. We're gonna walk back down here, get some creeps. We'll fast forward just a little bit so we can get to some action. Don't think anyone's too interested in watching a Bloodseeker just run around and farm jungle camps. Okay, we TP mid because we see the tower is being pressured. The reason I TP here is because the Terrorblade has an illusion, and there's a cart. So whenever there's a cart on your tower, this is the creep that does the most amount of damage, and it doesn't prioritize other creeps. This is important to note. A catapult will not attack creeps if a tower is in range. The tower is a higher priority for the cart to attack than anything else in the wave. So if that thing's just sitting there, and the creep wave is attacking each other as they are now, you'll notice that the catapult just goes in on the tower. It says, screw you, tower. I'm hitting you. I don't care about anything else that's happening here. I want to get damage on that tower. We do have a Treant Protector, so it can technically be healed, but you're not always going to have a Treant. So just a little note. If you ever see a catapult near a tower, that thing is going to do lots and lots of damage. And this is especially important later into the game when you start getting the double cart spawns and things like that. You can lose a tower very, very fast to just like a double creep wave and 1 cart. And a lot of people underestimate how much damage that can do to you in the long term. So when you see that stuff, if you can, try to stop it. So we counter pressure the mid tower. I get Dagon, and I believe I end up dying here. I didn't realize that guy had a Dagon, but he has Ether Lens Dagon at 17 minutes, so he's obviously pretty darn farmed. I still got more gold than he does, but he has the items that he needs to kill me right now. And if that guy can take me out that fast, in these types of games, you don't really want to be team fighting just because you're almost a liability at that point. So my next goal, obviously after watching this team fight and noticing that we didn't trade particularly well, I'm really looking to get that BKB. The BKB is a turning point for me in the game. It will often be the case for any core role. You're going to need a BKB at some point or another if you're playing a farm-heavy hero. That's just how it is. If you don't like buying BKB, you don't have to buy it, but you're going to win a lot more games if you buy the item. On Bloodseeker, I would say it's almost mandatory. Even if there's not a lot of burst damage on the other team, you're probably still going to need one. When you Blood Rage yourself and you go in and you Rupture, you want to not be hit by anyone else, or at the very least disabled or bursted, stuff like that. So you can abuse the fact that you've ruptured the person, right? So Rupture does damage when you move around. And if you can't force the other guy to move around because you can't walk in, then your Rupture doesn't really accomplish much. So that's the main purpose of the BKB on Bloodseeker. Even again, if there's not a ton of damage, even if there's just a couple of stuns, just buy it. So I get picked off again. I was farming on the low ground. At this point, I thought that they had a ward in our jungle, but I've kind of died 2 times in a row. I bought out, so I didn't lose a ton of gold, and they did, in fact, have a ward. It was on the high ground above our shrine. So it's good to know. I kind of assumed, because people don't usually just randomly walk into that place on the map, especially when heroes are showing on the opposite side of the map. So basically the only way he knew I was there is that they had it warded. So a little bit unfortunate for me. I'm dead for a little while. We'll go ahead and fast forward through the respawn timer. And our income has kind of like fallen off the last couple of minutes. We got a couple of deaths. We're thinking about trying to defend this top lane. Let's go ahead and rewind so we can watch it from the very beginning. Alright. So you can see that the enemy team is starting to siege up. We note that there's a centaur bottom, and this is the main reason why we decided to go in. So his little TL icon, his arrow is down there. He probably has his ult. Everything is up. It's been a while since we've taken a battle. But I want to fight because I know that we're outnumbering them. We potentially have 5 heroes. Our Nyx is a little bit far away. And I'm thinking, okay, this is probably one of the best opportunities we're going to have to take a fight. Throw out the Blood Right to stop the Pudge from dismembering my Zeus. And it's really good that my Zeus got all these spells off because now I'm just super fast. Terrorblade can't even get a Sunder off before I kill him. So that was very fortunate for us. And I did stay out of the fight for a while because there was a Grimstroke standing on the high ground and he used that ink swell on himself, so I didn't really want to get stunned. And I still don't have a BKB, so you can tell I am very, very hesitant in fights to go in. But yeah, our Tree and our Zeus set up that one very nicely for us, and we're able to just dispatch of 4 of them pretty much instantly. These types of fights are really good when you're a hero who needs to hit that mid-game timing. And usually when people refer to timing, all they mean is you need a certain amount of items by a certain time in the game to feel effective. And in this game, you need BKB on my hero just flat out. And truth be told, if I had gone for the Blade Mail into BKB, I would be a lot stronger at this point. But just look at how scared I am. I see a bunch of heroes up here and I just go, nope, not even gonna try. Because best case scenario, I kill that Terrorblade and then I forfeit my own life. I would much rather have the ability to just continue to farm, get to a 10-second BKB. I'm still the highest net worth in the game, even with my 3 or 4 deaths that I have right now. And then I can abuse that strength when I get it. One of the most difficult things to do for a core player is deciding when do I want to fight and when do I want to actually hit creeps. And the only thing that I'm doing this game, as far as decision making, is the assertion that I don't want to walk into enemy heroes without magic immunity. That's it. A lot of people overcomplicate it. They say, oh, well, if this and this and this happens, then you can fight and blah, blah, blah. And yes, okay, a lot of those things are true. But you don't need to make it that complex a lot of the time. In this type of game, my thought process is super straightforward. Farm BKB, fight after BKB. In the meantime, push side lanes to force the enemy team to react to what I'm doing. Because the longer we can do that, and prevent the Terrorblade from getting an Aegis, or preventing the Pugna from getting to high ground, then I can get that BKB, and then maybe we win a team fight and get Roche. Or maybe we win a team fight and get some of the top tier towers that are still up at 22 minutes because my lane wasn't very good. But the difference between having the 10-second BKB and fighting for an objective and having a BKB that's like 5 seconds during a 22-minute game or a 25-minute game makes it not feel so hot anymore. Because in those 5 seconds, are you realistically going to be able to kill a hero? There's a Terrorblade, there's a Pudge, there's a Centaur. These heroes are not necessarily squishy to just physical damage. And if the Terrorblade does get BKB, I'm the only one on my team who's going to be able to hurt him. So my thought process is I want to kill him and end the game before BKB becomes a problem. Because BKB is also an item that is equally as good against our team as it is against the Radiant team. So we've got our 10-second BKB. One of our heroes is getting ganked in the mid lane. He pops the Overgrowth to buy some time. I don't really see anyone else right now. Looks like bottom just showed up. And you see I'm not really that scared anymore, right? Because I have that magic immunity. I don't pop it. I realize that I'm pretty strong right now. I use my 10-second BKB charge to essentially ensure the kill on the Centaur, and he just found out that I had a Radiance because he couldn't blink away. Maybe not the most optimal 10-second BKB use, but I really wanted that kill. I wanted to get some immediate value out of the item. So we get that kill. My team finds the Pugna after the fact. As soon as the TB left bottom, I probably, if I was in the same position again, I probably would not TP back. I probably would just stay mid. And the main reason for that is it's 30 seconds before the Pugna's up. My BKB is down, but this is potentially damage that we can get on the tier 3. So, you know, even watching my own replays, you see a lot of stuff that you can do better. And more or less what I'm trying to give you guys is the way that I see my own play and the things that I can do better. So maybe if you were looking to improve and you're at like a 4 or 5k level, you can come into it with like an objective point of view and say, you know, if Draskyl's critiquing his own play, then obviously he knows he's not playing perfect. So that means that I'm not either, which means, you know, this stuff could help me. So this is a learning experience for not just you guys, it's one for me too. So a couple of kills happened in the mid lane. We didn't end up getting the tier 2. Again, probably should have stayed. Definitely would have secured the tower if I had been present. We're thinking about our next item choice here. A lot of the time when I play Bloodseeker, I like to build a very hard carry item immediately after my BKB. So we'll go ahead and pause it for just a second. We're about to gank this Pugna, but there is kind of another thing that I want to talk about when it comes to core itemization while we have a second. So I've got BKB and I've got Radiance. I've got a farm accelerating item, something that also helps me team fight, and magic immunity. I've already hit 2 of the main goals of the game. Now it's 25 minutes in. I have a pretty good amount of gold in my inventory. I'm trying to assess what my biggest problems are right now. So when I go magic immune, the Pugna, the Grimstroke, the Centaur, and the Pudge all do absolutely nothing to me. They just do nothing because they're all magic damage based heroes, right? Okay, cool. What's the one hero on the enemy team that doesn't really care about BKB? Obvious answer is Terrorblade, because he's the only hero I didn't mention. So we've assessed that Terrorblade is the hero that we are trying to deal with in this moment. So our next item, ideally, wants to address the one problem that we have over BKB, which is the Terrorblade. So now I'm thinking, okay, what items help me deal with Terrorblade and how? So the choice that I end up going with is Butterfly. And the main reason I choose that item is it's very unlikely that it's going to be countered by the TB himself. So Terrorblade doesn't want to look at my inventory and see a Butterfly and just be forced into buying an MKB, because that's not an optimal item for him against the rest of my heroes. So much like my BKB counters 4 of the Radiant team's heroes, if he buys a BKB, it's the same thing. I am the only one who will really be able to damage him during that time unless he gets stunned before he's able to go magic immune. So if I'm looking at it from that perspective, I want a Butterfly, because then it almost makes him buy MKB. Now, if this game ends up dragging out, to like 40, 50, 60 minutes, that MKB is going to come back to hurt him. Because the later the game goes, the more items my support have, the more the less duration on the BKB. Once it gets down to 5 seconds, he's going to want something besides an MKB in his inventory. I promise you. You're going to want like a refresher. You're going to want Scotty. You're going to want stuff to make sure that you can keep your magic immunity on and you can kill people. Or maybe you just want to go back and get like a better damage item like a Daedalus. So dealing with that evasion is something that he now has to think about if I go for that item. Now there are other possibilities. It doesn't just have to be Butterfly. The other one is I could go for Basher. And Basher is nice because it ensures that I'm going to get in and kill my guy during the BKB. So if I get a full Abyssal, I can walk in, Abyssal Blade the Terror Blade, maybe kill him. I could Abyssal Blade the Pugna. He would definitely die. He's very squishy. Same for Grimstroke. Probably the same for Pudge. So that's another way that I could go about it, is instead of worrying about what the Terror Blade's going to do, I could worry about what the other heroes are going to try to do to stop me from hitting stuff in BKB. Because all things considered, even if I buy a Butterfly, that Pugna still has Decrep, right? So if he Decrepifies who I go on, well then I just look stupid because I just walked in and they got banished. So that is a counterplay possibility that I did think about. And then outside of that, there's the super defensive choice, which is Linken's. And Linken's protects me from getting sundered when I go in on the Terror Blade. And that is very, very important. So let's say we both BKB, you know, we're hitting each other, our teams are fighting, but no one can really damage us but each other. If he uses Sunder on me, and I don't have Linken's, and I'm like doing way more damage to him than he is to me, then he turns the fight, I end up dying, he's at like full HP, and then we lose a fight, right? Sounds bad. So there are choices, okay? I'm just trying to explain how I think about it. So we've got all that out of the way. We're going to throw our Rupture out onto the Pugna. He decreps himself. We just talked about how annoying that can be. And I just go ahead and I pop my BKB so he doesn't heal. And we get our quick little kill. Now, a lot of heroes were missing right now, and I had a feeling that they could potentially TP to Shrine. There is also the choice of just staying in the trees down there and just making sure that we're getting as much lane pressure as humanly possible. I can kill one more wave, maybe I can kill 2 more waves. I was feeling a little bit scared because I just popped my BKB to kill the Pugna. So instead of sticking around, we TP and we just shove the wave mid. Now, Roshan is up right now. I think at this point I was still trying to decide what I wanted to buy. A lot of people ask me when I stream, why do I pool so much gold? The reality is, there's 2 reasons. 1, I like having buyback. And 2, sometimes I just genuinely don't know what I want. Like, I think a lot about my choices in the game, and then I try to play around those specific choices, right? Like, not fighting, and then farming the Radiance, and then continuing to not fight until I have BKB, then taking fights immediately after I have the magic immunity. All these things kind of follow the same flowchart. Make a choice, don't deviate from that choice, and you're going to have a lot more success in your games. Or at least, you'll be able to reach the goal you wanted to reach. So my mid Zeus gets killed. We're kind of doing some farming right now. We got a lot of thirst stacks, so we're just going to hit the tier 1. No backdoor protection on these bad boys, so this is a pretty easy tower. Again, we get a hero picked. We trade, but it's for a Grimstroke, so not the highest value. Our TP's still up. And the enemy team is caught in a situation where they get a kill, but it's still not super easy for them to just walk up to the high ground. There's no Sunder. Centaur already popped his ult. And they actually get forced back. So what happens if I just TP immediately, right? Okay, well, I definitely don't get the tier 1. I notice the Terror Blade is here right now. We're just going to throw out the Rupture. I believe the Pudge kills him here. Yep. I dodge the hook. And by hooking the Terror Blade, he just executes him more or less. I think I end up dying after the fact, though. So this death could have been avoided. I get hit by an obvious hook. Like, I throw out the Blood Rate, give him a hook setup, and I just die. Alright, so I get zapped by the old Pugna. But hey, we traded core for core. We got a little bit of time before the Terror Blade's going to respawn anyway. Let's go ahead and fast forward through this because I'm actually dead for like a minute. Alright, so we respawn. Oh, actually buy the Lincolns first. Okay. So I misremembered what items I bought. I knew what I had, but I didn't remember the order I bought them. So, we'll pause again. I think I buy this specifically for the Sunder and the Pugna this game. Because those are the things that kill me, right? I either get bursted by the Pugna, or I get, like, Blink Bitten, or I get Sundered. So I think I just got fed up dying in the same exact way. So I go for the Lincolns first. Because if I'm dead, I can't really deal damage. So I do end up getting the Lincolns and the Butterfly. I just swap the order of the item. I'm doing this all from memory, so if I miss anything, it's basically because old people have a hard time remembering stuff. So you'll notice as soon as we take a team fight, we'll just rewind it here a second. So we got Vision here. I've got my freshly purchased Lincolns. I'm walking towards the bottom lane. I already see the Pugna, and I want to kill him. We see a TP. We notice the Shrine's active. I immediately BKB this. I want to go in on the Pudge because this is a guy who can potentially screw me over. And I don't really want to focus on the Terrorblade because the Terrorblade is very, very tanky, and we don't actually have our whole team. So for example, there's no Zeus, there's no Nyx. I don't want to go on this guy because A, he can be saved by a hook, and B, he could potentially sunder someone that's not me. So even though I just bought my Lincolns, I'm not going to try to use it on this guy because there's a chance that I either get a combination of Sunder and Bite, or maybe the Pugna's closer than I think and he eats it and then I get bitten anyway. So we get a quick and easy kill. As soon as that kill happens, I want out. My BKB is down, I'm not looking to fight anymore. I just want to retreat. Gonna get some bounty runes. Just gonna go straight back to farming some creeps. Mid lane's past the river. Top lane is kind of pushed in their favor. But there's nowhere to TP to, so I don't really feel like I can make it to that side of the map. I think I spotted the Haster in there for just a second. But I feel really, really scared and I don't want to walk down there. There's a lot of high ground points in that river. And I'm not looking to die for that one. We're still sitting at a pretty good amount of net worth, about a full item ahead of the Terrorblade at this point. I buy the Talisman of Evasion. This is the item that gives me the most amount of tankiness that I can get for the cost. So it gives me evasion. I already have 31 armor. So when you're talking about increasing your effective HP against physical damage and auto attacks and stuff like that, it's definitely one of the better things you can do. So again, my Lincoln's coming into play, blocks a Dismember. I see a gem on the ground. I think I end up... do I kill this guy? I actually don't remember. Looks like I just get zapped. Yeah, we just end up dying here. Okay. So we didn't get the kill. It's a little unfortunate. Oh, we do get him. Okay, cool. So we get the Pudge, but I die. But that's 5 heroes again, right? A lot of people are kind of just wandering around the area, not sure if they want to go in or not. Lots of shuffling. But we die, we trade, we get the Centaur and we get the Pudge before we go down. And they committed a lot to that one. So we're dead again, this time for a little bit longer. My team ends up picking up a couple of kills. They trade the Nyx. I believe we also get the tier 2 tower in the time that I'm dead. So now that I'm back up, and I notice that, you know, mid and bottom are already pushed in, I'm TPing to a place on the map where I can get gold immediately, and then I can transition that into pushing a lane. So I'm not TPing just to hit jungle creeps, I'm TPing in an attempt to be efficient with the usage of my time. And I actually don't have a TP right now, but I'm right next to the side shop, so I'll just buy that. You notice that I move my Aquila to my backpack. You do not want to keep your TPs in your backpack at this stage in the game. It's like 33, 34 minutes in. If you do that, you're going to have a much, much harder time being able to TP to defend. And with a Pugna and a Terrorblade, your base can die real fast. I think coming mid here is another mistake that I made. I should just be top still. I should actually just still be top. I could be hitting those creeps. So we'll pause, because this is actually a huge mistake. Me walking from top to mid was just awful. Like, if I was me playing with me right now, I would have yelled at myself. for doing this. Because I see a fight happen, I walk there, I can't do anything. By the time I get there, the hero that I want to fight with is already dead. And I could have just been pushing top this whole time. I could have been hitting a tier 3. So that wave that you see on the left side by the shrine, that wave has been there for about a minute. And if I'm over there, they have to address that, right? Now, sure, my TP's down, which is probably the main reason I decided to go walk towards mid and eventually go back to base. And this is a pretty big snafu. The only justification is that my TP is 22 seconds on cooldown. So that is the only argument against pushing top. I think maybe I was just really scared that with a TB, they would be able to kill our base too fast, and I wanted to try to defend since my tree had buyback. That's the only reasoning I can give. And it's still... It's not the best move I made this game. I'll tell you that much. Not proud of that move. So my Zeus gets killed. He doesn't have buyback. So now all of a sudden we're in a situation where... I believe I have buyout right now? No, I actually don't either. Get a nice little dodge on the hook right there. Perfect stun timing from the Nyx. I don't think he even meant to hit that stun, but it ends up working out in our favor because we get a quick kill. Just as a note, getting that centaur kill does not justify me not pushing top. In this case, the ends do not justify the means. It's still a bad habit to do what I did. And if you have a good way of assessing like how long you have between the team is going to start hitting your base and when your TP is going to be up, the better you are at managing that, the more pressure you'll be able to apply on the map. So I had a little bit of a lapse in judgment. One of my teammates, I think, got hooked out of the base there. But we're still kind of sitting on the high ground. We got our tree armor. We got backdoor protection. And it's not looking so hot for us right now. And even with that centaur kill, the enemy team is not really too deterred. They still got 4 heroes. Trying to blood raid spam to keep the creep wave off my tower. We get a CM buyback here. Throwing out another blood raid to just finish off the creeps. So the Terrorblade makes a huge mistake here. The Terrorblade is like aggressively posturing to try to get the tier 3. So we'll watch this one again. He's outside the base. Let's play it at half speed. And you can see I'm not really looking to engage at all. And this is another good point to pause, because you're going to be in these situations a lot as a core player, as a support player, as anyone. It is almost universally better to just let the racks die than try to defend with too few heroes, especially when you do not have buyback, okay? Let's say, hypothetically, we have 2 people alive. Our mid player is not alive for 13 seconds. Our Nyx has no buyback, he's dead for 30. Our Crystal Maiden has buyback, but even if she uses it, what are the odds that we can turn this without the enemy team messing up? You know, my BKB is still down. So, if we take that fight, and we all die, what do you think happens to the base after we're all dead? Well, the obvious answer is they're just going to kill everything now, because we didn't put our full team in front of a building. We put 2 heroes in front of a building. And that ends up making you lose the game. So a lot of the time, when I'm playing, you know, with my friends, subscribers, whoever, I'll say, just let it die. And for some reason, especially at the lower MMRs, a lot of people have a hard time with this. But I promise you, if there are 5 heroes hitting a tier 3 tower, and you only have 2 people alive, it is never good to defend that, ever. You will lose the game, because you'll die, the other 3 people who don't have buyback will just be going, well, you were only 2, why'd you try to fight 5 heroes? And then it's GG. So, the reason this guy messes up so bad is because he doesn't even understand how good of a position he's in. Like, he gets Centaur ulted, he walks out of the blood rate, but you'll watch right here. Look at how far away he is from his teammates right now. There's like this little concave of heroes, and then he's just like almost by our tier 4s. Like, this guy is way, way, way out of position. So I rupture him just immediately. Even if he gets hooked, he's dead. The only thing that can save him is a Decrepify into a Sunder. But guess what? We have Lincolns. So the only way that this doesn't work is if the Centaur was here, because my BKB's down, and he's top. So we make a very quick distinction of, hey, this guy's just absolutely out of his mind. And you can see the Pudge goes for a save hook, but that wouldn't have even mattered. He would have just died anyway. So the TB makes a huge blunder there, and we end up defending the base. Very cool stuff. Alright, so I said previously before I started doing this video that I wanted to stop around here because this is essentially supposed to be a mid-game video, and I don't want to go into like the super late game stuff around Roshan and buyback and all that nonsense. Roshan was not really a big thing that happened this game, primarily because our team just sucks at hitting Roshan. And we'll talk about it really quickly because we got a couple of minutes before the end of the video. But you're going to be in a Dota game, and you're going to be looking at your heroes and go, oh my god, we do nothing to Roshan. Just absolutely nothing. We got 4 magic damage heroes and a Bloodseeker. We couldn't have had a worse Roshan killing team if we freaking tried. And you know what? That's fine. Because if your team is not really good at killing Roshan, they're probably good at doing other stuff, like dealing lots of damage or healing your towers. So I feel like everything else we've gone through pretty much at this point, our itemization, why we're buying what we're buying, we eventually finished that butterfly. And this is just like some of my general thinking of how I like to play the safe lane and why I'm so often in a side lane. But I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you learned something. Again, this is a Bloodseeker video, but a lot of the stuff that we went over is applicable to any safe lane hero. Just general decision making. The only adaptations you have to make are assessing how you have to itemize because of the enemy team, and if you can rotate based on your hero skill set. So again, thank you guys very much. My name is Draskyl. You can catch me on Twitch. It's twitch.tv/Draskyl, D-R-A-S-K-Y-L. If you guys could, hit the subscribe button, like the video. Still trying to work on my channel here, trying to grow it. And I'll see you guys next time. Have a good one.